first time I encountered Moko in the water. It was nobody else had swum with him before that I knew of, and so I wasn't sure what this wild animal was going to do. So I was really frightened, but at the same time I felt this thing that said it was okay, you know, it was going to be okay. So I jumped over the side and just treaded water, just sat there and away from the boat, and Moko came along. He knew that he sort of stood off, you know, like just sort of swam around, and then he came and gave me a little bump right on my back, and my heart was like, oh, gosh, you know, wild animal, what's going to happen next? And then he came around and gave me another little poke in the back again, and I, you know, I was quite frightened, but you got the sense that it was like a small child figuring out where, you know, who you were and that sort of thing, just a little tester. And then he came along and just started rolling around me, and I reached out and touched him, and it was like, it's okay, and we both relaxed. And I sensed that he was a bit worried about his first encounter with a human too, in swimming with one, I guess. And so then he just rolled over and went onto his back, and then just let me stroke him, and he just kept coming up to me, and it was like, you know, having something quite you know, an out of it experience. It's just, it's so hard to explain unless you've done something like that. He swam up against me, you know, I lay down on my back, and he swam up and he put his head right onto my shoulder, and I just sort of floated on my back, and he just floated right beside me, and it was, you know, this big head right there, eye to eye, and it was just like a small child. Quite an amazing feeling, yeah. He was very intimate and very loving, and it was all soft touching and swimming, and nothing vigorous or anything like that. It was just a really lovely time together. Yeah, it was really nice. There's this connection, there's this sense that you just know. It's like, it's very indescribable, but it's like you have some sort of blessing or some sort of thing that happens to you, that you've experienced something outside of the norm. It's one of those things like you've been blessed, like the gods have come down and given you something very special, you know. And it's a feeling like you've just got given something that you know that isn't quite right, you know, it's not meant to be, and so you have been blessed enough to have a moment with somebody who's from another planet, from another world, you know. Softness, a caring, a little bit of sadness, because he was wanting to be with us, and you knew that, you know, we're not the right people for a dolphin. We're not the right. We've been chosen to have someone this special, but we abuse everything. We're not right for something that's that special, that's that intelligent, perhaps. And it's a sadness of, you know, why are you with us? Why do you want to be here? But also a feeling afterwards of elation, of hype, you know, oh my God, that's amazing, oh, you know, those sort of things, all those feelings of something so amazing happened to you, yeah. You know, when you first meet him, the first time, whether you're in the boat or out of the boat, I think you feel, it instantly comes over you. You feel absolutely awed by his presence. you know, whoa, this is wonderful, this is amazing. And when I've been in the water with him with other people, his attitude changes again. You know, he's this little, you know, plaything, you know, it just turns into big games and you know, up in the air and splashing down and you know, and never wants it to end. He never wants anybody to go away. One day we went out and we'd taken children, and we had maybe 3 adults or maybe 4 adults on the boat, a couple of children, and we met another boat out there of friends who had young children on there as well. And because we're out deep, you know, the kids had life jackets and things on, but you know, we're not close to the shore, and the boats are sort of surrounding us. Moko got extremely excited. It was still the very early days of him playing with the humans, and so he had he started to really rack up. You know, while I was in the water, he was quite gentle and easygoing, and as soon as more people entered the water, the more he started to arc up and play. And at one stage, one of the women, he was diving up onto his tail and hitting down on top of her, and she was quite frightened. And then he would arc up and then just miss her. And he was just very, very vigorous and very, you know, boyish. You know, you could see this kid just running amok. You know, he had all this attention, and he was playing full on and swimming around between everybody. And it got to the point where I sort of said to everybody, hey, you know, maybe we'll get the kids back in the boat. And the woman I was with, she sort of said, hey Jill, I'm frightened. And so when he came near her, I pushed him away. And so he came back, and I pushed him away again until we got her back on the boat. And then I sort of thought, you've actually been a little bit boisterous for us. So he wanted me not to get out of the water. But I thought, no, you have behaved a little bit too rough, like a child. I thought, no, and pushed him away until I got into the boat. One of the local papers asked me for the picture, and I didn't want to give the picture because I thought that I was going to end up getting this dolphin too publicised. And Dad said to me, no, you need to make people aware, because he's going to play with other people, so you need to make them aware that he needs to be looked after and kept well. So the picture ended up in most of the papers around the country, and even right down to the South Island. And I felt the papers had misquoted me by saying that, you know, I was holding on to his fins and doing all these things with this dolphin, when in actual fact what I had said to them was that we needed to be careful to look after him, to keep him away from having, you know, everything that we have like that we've had in previous years is, you know, from Oppo, you get some random guys that have to do something mean and evil to him, you know, to the dolphins and stuff like that, and to any, you know, animals. So I felt that, you know, that perhaps the papers hadn't quite done the right thing by him at the beginning. I thought at the end he had, he wanted to be with all the people. He wanted to be around people. He looked for people, and you know, Mahia is, at certain times of the year, it is absolutely dead. There is nobody swimming or hardly out there, and I assume that he went off to find more people to play with in the bigger areas up that coastline where he ended up, where you know, there are so many more people on the beaches and apart from here. And so I think he was a little bit of a you know, he might have been too much, wanting too much, and perhaps his fate had something to do with wanting to play with the humans all the time. Yeah.